So it's been, I don't even know how long I've been working on some other stuff. It's been a while since I've been on the Bridgeport, and it's time to get going. The original stoppage in work was because I had to get the saddle gib fixed up, and thanks to my buddy Harold, he took care of me, and I got 15 thou of turkite on there. Very nicely done. So it's time to get back on fitting the saddle here. I was pretty happy with how perpendicular this is running to the column, how parallel this is running to the fixed way side, and this is the gib side. And so at this point right now I want to do a couple of verifications with the saddle. I want to verify that I have good contact on this fixed side. I want to make sure that the back of the saddle is parallel to the column, and then I'm going to start working on fitting the gib. So the first check I've done is I've got the saddle clamped tight up against the fixed way. I mean, not tight, snug. I've got my gauge block here that I use, which has a pin up against the back side of the saddle here. It's up on the flat, and column on this side to column on the other side is matching up within about 2 or 3 tenths across that distance. So that's good. So check one is still looking good. Now the next thing is to get and verify that the fixed way and the saddle are matching up, that the angle's right. So the fixed side is good, and the back side is parallel to the column. So with that all done, now we got to move and get the gib fitted. So what I thought I would do is I seen somebody do it on YouTube. I thought it was a good actually a good exercise, which was to check the gibbed side of the dovetail without a gib up against the mating surface, to make sure that this surface here was on the same angle and flat relative to the surface that you're going to scrape the gib to, so that you're not fighting this surface against the gib surface as you scrape them in together. So I'm just going to work away on that at this point. So this is the gib now off of the saddle, and I've been working away at it for a little bit here. Probably a little more than I wanted to, but nothing that I can't handle. And it's starting to have a pretty decent spotting. I'm thinking maybe 3-4 more cycles here. You can see in here starting to get some good spotting. And then the background that I use, this is the turkite finish, so this has already got a blue-green color to it. So I'll show you one of the methods that I was shown by my buddy Harold is gives it this red background here, so the blue pops. So we're just going to scrape this here, and then we'll get it back in the saddle, get one more spotting here. It's just a little bit of alcohol to clean that. And then this is just ground up jeweler's rouge. And it's on a rag here, and then not sure how well it's going to show up, but it just puts a reddish tinge, and then so when you do the spotting on there, the blue really pops. So I've got the saddle tight up against the fixed side. I've got the dovetail blued up. Been working the same bluing for quite some time. And we got the gib in there. And we're just trying to lightly seat it. And then what I've got is at this point here, I've got it close to the column. I'm doing a spotting at close to the column, and I've done them out closer to the crank handle end. And you got a little piece of aluminum in there, and when I push the saddle, the gib will pop out. And that's the plan. So like I said, we're getting really close now. I'll scrape this one more time, and then I'll put the gib on the surface plate. Make sure that I haven't got anything going on out the outside that's not contacting the dovetail. And then probably one or two more times through here, and we're going to be good. So I just thought I would show this. This is a case of keeping track of what you're doing and understanding what's happening. And I know currently on YouTube, Robin Renzetti is doing some work on a granite surface plate, and he's talked about how that's the case. Like, you have to understand and keep track of what you've done. So in this case here, this gib just came off of the surface plate, and if I were to just go scrape what's here, I would not be helping myself, because I know that this section here is coming in when it's fitted in the saddle, but when I put it on the surface plate, I've got some spotting here and then along these edges that aren't getting picked up in the saddle. So I don't want to take anything out of this section here. It's just going to defeat where I'm trying to get to, because this portion here is fitting, and this has a lighter spotting when it's in the saddle. So I'm going to ignore this here and take care of this stuff here, and then we'll go back into the saddle. Did I just say back in the saddle again? So when it goes back on the machine and gets checked, it's a different result than the surface plate, which is a good thing. So we have down here at the thin end of the gib, we have spotting showing up, and then we have more up here at the thick end. So like I say, a few more cycles and we should be there. So I'm pretty happy right now. I'm thinking maybe one 2 at the most more cycles here, and then I'm gonna clean it all up and fit it all back together and see how it works. Try to get it adjusted and see what we get. So I've got the saddle back on the knee here. I got the lead screw in there. I got the yoke set up, and this is my tense indicator here. So what I'm checking right now is how parallel. Check that. So how parallel this is running with this straight edge here, perpendicular to the back face of the saddle. And I just used the 24-inch square. I put this on here square, just laid it on top of the saddle here, and then I'm going to crank the saddle in and so right now that's a total of 5/10. So it's about 6/10, about 4 negative and 2.5 positive. So, and that's a scrape surface on the back side of this straight edge here. So I'm very happy right now with these results. I've got the gib fitted, and I got about 2 or 3/10 of movement there. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try and set something up that's ground parallel. I want to check how flat this is running as it's moving. So similar setup. This is just a ground piece of linear rail, and again, tense indicator. So I'm pretty happy with that. That's that's about 5/10 there as well, maybe 6. So we're moving on.